We also know from our own struggles with blended family life and from the couples that we've worked with over the years that insight without action falls short.
And because we know that you want to accomplish something new that'll lead to something better in your blended family, today we're kicking off your Next Step Challenge. Dun, da, da, da.
Welcome to the Blended Family Coaching Show, where you'll discover how to move your step family from just surviving to truly thriving.
Grab your headphones and listen in as we share practical, real-life strategies for building healthy bonds,
Understanding the kids' perspective,
romance and partnership,
parenting with great teamwork.
and yes, even co-parenting with a difficult ex.
We're Mike and Kim Anderson, and we believe with the right tools, every step couple can overcome the common challenges of step family life.
Join us for authentic and sometimes comical conversations to discover how you can lead your family with confidence and create the future you really want.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 54. We are super excited. This is going to be a very unique episode as well as some of the episodes to follow. Now,
Yes.
You do not want to miss out over the next few days. And the best way you're going to be able to make sure you're not missing out is by subscribing to the podcast. Because if you're just depending on our email or our social media posts to keep up with everything here on the podcast, you're probably going to miss something. Because over the next few days, we're going to be doing a challenge. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And some of it is only going to show up right here on the podcast. So please head over and subscribe if you haven't already. And while you're there, leave us a rating and review, and we would really appreciate that.
So for the past several weeks, we've been talking about overcoming discouragement. And we've seen that every step family couple really does experience a certain degree of discouragement at some point in the journey.
Yep.
And in our last two episodes, we had our clients. We had Jake and Whitney.
Yep.
We also had Dan and Renee as guests on the show. And they came on to share their unique stories of discouragement. And they also shared how they've been able to move beyond it to truly thrive in their blended families. And if you haven't listened to those episodes, you'll definitely want to go back and check them out because we believe you'll be able to really relate to their struggles and that you'll also learn some valuable insights from these two courageous couples.
That's absolutely right. But we also know from our own struggles with blended family life and from the couples that we've worked with over the years that insight without action falls short. So we love that you gain insight, but we've got to take action. Nothing really starts to change until we choose to take action. We've got to be willing to try something new and then begin to respond, relate, and behave differently. When we act on our insight, we can actually affect and influence the dynamics in our blended family and experience more health, connection, and positive changes.
Absolutely.
And we really want that for you. We want you to experience what Jake and Whitney experienced, what Dan and Renee have experienced, which is hope that things really can get better. And we want those positive changes that you can make to be long lasting.
Yeah.
Right? These two couples have accomplished a lot, and we know that you can as well.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's an old saying, every accomplishment starts with a decision to try.
I like that.
And because we know that you want to accomplish something new that'll lead to something better in your blended family, today we're kicking off your Next Step Challenge. Dun, da, da, da. Now, this challenge is going to unfold over the next several days. So stick with us so that we can walk you through some very doable action steps.
That's right.
Now, if you take the challenge, you'll find out just how simple it is to take those next steps that are going to help you accomplish something of value for yourself, in your marriage, and for your blended family.
That's right.
And all you have to do is make a decision to try moving beyond discouragement or fear or overwhelm, whatever it is that might be keeping you stuck or holding you back, and just simply try something new with us this week. We're excited about that. So if you're ready to jump in and you've made the decision to try, we're so glad that you're here joining us. And we're excited about walking alongside you in your next step challenge.
That's right. Now, when we say that we're walking alongside you through the challenge, what we mean is that we're also taking the challenge and doing our own action steps.
That's right.
In some area of our lives that we'd like to accomplish something new as well. And last week we shared about how we sometimes get discouraged, just like everybody else.
Do.
And we each identified some personal areas of growth. So we'll be participating in this challenge with you and taking our own next steps right alongside you. Mm-hmm.
And honey, as you mentioned, we each are focusing on different areas of growth.
That's right.
I'm focusing on the area of our marriage, where I've been inspired to make some improvements. And you're focused on your personal life balance, which is more about managing your energy and reserving some energy so that you can continue to invest in our family and especially stay engaged with our teenagers.
That's true.
And we just want to clarify here that you can do this challenge on your own, focusing on an area where you do have some control and you're ready to step it up.
Yep.
Or you can take this challenge as a couple
That's
as
right.
well.
It works either way.
So you don't need your spouse to be engaged in the challenge. You can always take some steps towards personal growth and new learning on your own, but it's great if your partner is willing to take on the challenge with you and you're planning to work as a team. So with this challenge that we're rolling out today, either approach is awesome.
That's right. So let's get started. Now for today, your challenge is really simple. It's to find your focus. You're going to build your awareness around where it is that you need to take action, possibly gain some skill or deeper understanding, or maybe just have a mindset shift. And to make it easy for you to do that, you're going to choose just one area of blended family life to get laser focused on. You want to keep this simple and not get overwhelmed. And to help you out, we're going to discuss our 5 focus framework. And as we do, we know that you might be thinking, well, gosh, we need to work on all of these areas, right? But keep in mind that you're only going to choose one area to focus on for this challenge. We want to keep it simple and actionable. Whatever you choose, it needs to be specific. It's an area where you might be able to experience a reasonably quick win.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, over the years, we've identified 5 primary areas that most blended families need to work on, and we call it our 5 focus framework. And these are the 5 areas that we believe are most important to the success of every blended family.
Absolutely. So let's just do a quick overview of our 5 focus framework. The first one is bonding. You know, maybe you've tried to create some quality family time to accelerate that bonding process, but it doesn't seem to go over very well.
Yeah.
And you're struggling to reduce the relational tensions in your home. Learning new strategies around bonding and gaining some realistic expectations around how long it takes for blended families to actually blend. This could be an area where you might need to focus, right? And the second area is understanding kids' perspectives. That's the second focus. Maybe the kids are really struggling with some difficult emotions. Maybe they're pushing back and rejecting the step parent or even isolating from the family.
Yeah, that's hard.
And maybe you've been kind of scratching your head, wondering how you can develop more empathy for their unique perspective. That's really important. And maybe you also want to learn how to help them to move through loss and grief and disappointment or anger, whatever it is that they might be experiencing. Understanding kids' perspective could be the place where you need to focus right now, whether you're a bio or a step parent, or if you're both,
you're
right?
Both, that's right. The third area is safeguarding your marriage, and it's so important for blended family couples.
Oh, yeah.
If you're feeling disconnected, maybe you're experiencing a lot of conflict, and you're just trying to figure out how in the world to get on the same page and really honor and elevate your marriage, maybe this is where you're going to want to focus. And by the way, you can still make an impact in this area, even if you're going through this challenge with us on your own.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay if your spouse isn't doing this with you. You can still create change for your partnership.
Yeah, exactly. This is the area of focus that I'm choosing as just an individual on my own through this challenge, right? I'm deciding to try something new that'll improve our romantic connection, which will go a long way to invest in safeguarding our marriage,
Well,
right?
I anticipate this is going to be a great week.
Yes. But I am stepping out to do this on my own.
That's right.
That's going to impact our marriage. All right. So let's talk about the fourth area of focus, and that's parenting and discipline. And this is a big one, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this is a struggle for you, you might be feeling like you and your spouse have just polar opposite parenting styles.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get on the same page around this.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Or maybe you've tried everything, but you still can't seem to agree on your parenting goals or the roles that each of you should be focused on as a bio or a step parent.
That's
that can
right.
be really confusing. You probably want to be united in this area, so maybe it's time to learn a new method or some strategies around parenting and disciplining, and that might be your starting point for the challenge.
That's right. And then finally, our fifth area of focus is co-parenting with the other home. Maybe you're at your wit's end with the ex, or maybe it's not your ex, but it's your spouse's ex that's creating more drama than you'd really like in your home. If it feels like you just keep going round and round with an ex, then this could be the place that you want to start building a new strategy in how you work with the other home and try to build some more peace for the kids.
Absolutely. All right, so that's our 5 focus framework in a nutshell. So remember that your task for today is simply to find your focus. So all we want to do is pick one of these areas of focus, the one that you seem to be most impacted by right now in this season of your blended family life. You might want to ask yourself, where is the most tension, or what's creating relational distance in our family dynamics? What am I most frustrated with? Identify the primary pain point that you've been struggling with. Or maybe you've just been feeling really disappointed and you're feeling discouraged because you realize that those original expectations or dreams coming into this dynamic are far from your current reality. What were those original expectations, and which of the 5 focus framework topics do they fall under?
Yeah, those are great questions to ask. Now, it might also be that you're trying to cope with your disappointment in ways that are unproductive.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about that in last week's episode. So maybe you've been avoiding the issue or denying that it's a problem, just sort of stuffing your disappointment down and really not dealing with it. That might be a clue this is where you need to focus. Maybe you're experiencing some guilt or you're blaming yourself for the way that things have turned out. We also talked about that inflexible attitude where we might be striving really hard to get everyone else to comply to our expectations and we feel like we're just beating our head against the wall. Or maybe you're desperately looking for that quick, easy silver bullet fix that's going to solve all of our problems without having to do any of the hard work. If you've noticed any of those things, the way that you're reacting to that disappointment, maybe trying to cope with it rather than to actually resolve it, these could be some really strong clues that this is the best area in the 5 focus framework for you to find your focus.
Yeah, we've struggled with all of those
Definitely.
unhealthy ways of coping, haven't we, honey?
Yeah.
So before you choose the area you're going to focus on for this challenge, let's make sure that we're approaching the challenge with the best possible attitude. And if you're stuck in discouragement right now, that might be a little bit difficult for you.
Sure.
But we're just going to ask you and encourage you to put your best foot forward. Now, what we found as we've supported and coached couples over the years is the ones who make the most progress and reach their goals are the ones that adopt some very specific attitudes. First, they're humble. They have an open and teachable posture. They're able to admit that they don't have all the answers, and they're also able to consider what it is that could be limiting their growth and why. They're committed to the process of discovery, learning, and growth. They don't hesitate to reach out for the help they need, and they're able to be honest, transparent, and vulnerable about what's really going on.
Yeah, that's right. You know, another trait we've noticed is that really successful couples are willing to seek deeper understanding and develop empathy toward the other members of their family. This kind of stems out of that humility you were just talking about. They're able to put themselves in other people's shoes and actually appreciate everyone's unique perspective. And by the way, it's actually okay. And by the way, it's okay to move forward with your own assumptions and perspectives until you begin just understanding a little bit more about the big picture, what's really going on underneath the surface.
Yeah. These couples also realize there are things outside their control. That's a hard one.
That took me a while.
You know, I'm a recovering addict and I've got over 20 years of clean time.
Yeah, woo.
But when I started out in recovery doing the 12 steps, the very first step of the 12 steps to recovery is to admit that you're powerless over certain things.
Yeah.
You have to go there first because nothing can really move forward or change until we choose to accept and let go of the things that we can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, we can become willing to embrace, influence, and change the things that we do have some control over.
Right.
You really can gain your personal sense of power and control by defining what you have control over and what you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And successful couples are able to do just that.
Yeah. You know, a curiosity mindset is incredibly valuable as well.
Yeah.
Now, successful couples, we see them over and over again, are able to choose curiosity over criticism, and it is a choice. Mm-hmm. Did you know that research shows curiosity is the number one trait to thrive? It increases empathy and actually reduces aggression and defensiveness.
Yeah.
A curiosity mindset really helps us to move beyond our limiting beliefs and the old narratives that probably aren't serving us very well. Yeah. And it starts to make space for some of those hard truths that are the reality of the blended family journey. And until we can accept those truths, we'll usually continue to dig our heels in and try to struggle with more of a rigid mindset. So a curiosity mindset through this challenge is going to be really important and it'll serve you well.
Yeah. And the most successful couples are also willing to get a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
They're willing to face their own insecurities, fears, and inadequacies. We love this quote from Craig Groeschel. The pathway to your greatest potential is straight through your greatest fear. Mm-hmm. The secret to doing blended family life well is being willing to step out of your comfort zone and take some risks.
That's right. We've had to take a lot of risks over the years. Yeah.
Safe is insufficient.
Yeah.
And you cannot make an impact without getting a little uncomfortable, without a willingness to challenge your own expectations and mindset, and a willingness to try something new, even though it might require some hard work and some discomfort.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, successful couples have a strong commitment to their marriage and to their family. And really, I don't think you'd be listening to this podcast if you weren't already invested and determined to find some healthy ways to move forward so that your blended family will not just survive, but really thrive.
Absolutely.
So keeping all of that in mind throughout this challenge is going to help you adopt the right attitudes to get through it with success. And if you're stuck in discouragement right now, we want to encourage you to have hope. We've been stuck in discouragement too, and we know it's a really hard place to be. And you know, our clients that we heard from over the past couple of episodes, they've been stuck there too. But we want you to have hope because your story isn't completed yet. So we're challenging you to stick with us through this challenge. And as you choose your next steps, keep reminding yourself about these healthy attitudes and choose to stay there. Yeah. Believe it or not, you really can choose your attitude, just like we learned from Jake and Whitney and Dan and Renee over the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. So start off your next step challenge today.
Yeah.
You only need to do one thing, and that's find your focus.
Yeah, today's step is easy.
Super easy. Consider each of the different areas in the 5 focus framework, and then simply choose the one that most resonates with you right now, or where you feel that you need to grow and develop most. Is it bonding, understanding kids' perspectives, marriage, parenting and discipline, or co-parenting with the other home.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you already know your area.
Yeah.
You've been listening to this today and it's super obvious to you. Or maybe you're not really sure which area is best. Maybe you're overwhelmed and you're just having a hard time deciding or finding that focus.
Yeah.
Now, if that's you, then you might need to take a bit of a deeper dive into the 5 focus framework.
Mm-hmm.
So to do that, you can go back and you can listen to episode 2 on the podcast, and it's called the 5 Focus Framework, just to gain a little deeper understanding and some insight into where you can find your focus for the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said earlier, for my next step challenge, the area I'll be focusing on is marriage.
Mm.
Yeah. And honey, where would you like to focus on for the challenge?
Well, like I shared last week and a little bit earlier, mine is, all about getting a better rhythm in life. So I kind of think this falls into a couple of categories, like marriage, because when I get a better balance, I'll be able to focus on you. And I think bonding too, because it impacts how I can reach out to Annika and spend time talking with her, as well as with our kids who are still at home. So I think it kind of spans a couple different ones.
Yeah, and that's okay as well.
All right, now it's your turn. It's time to find your focus and just choose the area that you want to focus on right now. And then be ready for tomorrow, day 2 of the challenge, where we're going to take another step in your next step challenge for your blended family. Don't miss it, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.